And what, did they know you were Democratic?
I don't know that they cared as long as I did my job. You didn't do a lot of arguing, and sometimes you changed their position just a little. But working on the Hill is really a professional position, and it's not so much, I mean, they really prefer to hire people that don't live in their district. It's very easier to fire if they don't have, know your mom and dad. But
So why didn't you change for the Democratic part instead of staying in the Republican?
well, because that's where my job was. I mean, I had a job there, and I could do it, and I did it well. And I left D.C. Right before the Watergate hearings, so.
And where did you move there?
Well, we went to Europe for 6 months, and then we moved back to a place called Blackfoot, Idaho, where we owned a newspaper. And that's where I lived for the next 15 years.
And in Europe, were they talking about the war?
No.
No. No one knew.
Not that, no, I didn't know. There might have been a bit of a language barrier there, but no. And of course, we were traveling from place to place.
So, when you moved to Europe back in the US, you were writing the newspaper?
When we came back to, yeah.
Yeah, and was it the newspaper Democratic or Republican?
The newspaper was Democratic in a very Republican area, very conservative religious area of Idaho. But we survived.
So you didn't get any trouble because...
We did get in trouble sometimes, but we survived.
Like what kind of trouble?
Well, then we had my father-in-law had originally owned the paper before we bought it from him, and he was very much against the war, and he would write editorials, and then my husband was, and he wrote editorials. But you find people on your side when you speak out, and he did. We did lose, you had asked me earlier, we did lose a very good friend from Vietnam. He was a reporter for Associated Press and had a quarter of his brain blown off while he was covering the war. He came back to the States, and then he never was really right again, and then we believe it was a form of suicide. We've never been sure, but his car went off into the river, and he died. So there were Vietnam had a lot of after effects on soldiers, just like this war does.
Yeah. And when you came back to the war, you was all depressed, or wasn't using drugs like a lot of veterans did?
I think so. And as I say, he was very deformed then, and I mean, it was amazing to me he could function without, I mean, he literally was missing a quarter of his brain.
And did you try to help him? Or
we did. He lived in Mississippi, so it wasn't like we were,
next to him.
Right next to him, but we did keep in touch.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. It's nice to meet you.